evening, Whittier.
Good evening.
Some victims and victims' family members, if you want to come up here with me, I'd really like it. You too, Desiree. Victims' family members who are here, I'm asking you to come up with me. So they asked me in San Dimas a few days ago, one of the council members, when I was speaking, said, who do you represent? I represent you, and you, and you, everybody behind me. I represent all the children who have been killed, who have no voice. I represent all the victims that have no voice. I represent all the family members of victims who feel abandoned. I represent the people, all of you. And I want you all to know that, Whittier. Thank you. I went to work this morning, like I do every day. And usually when I go to work, I check my email, even though I have a phone. I have a work phone, an office phone, you know. You get the email, 24 hours a day. But I went and I checked my voicemail messages, which I do usually every morning. And today, somebody left me a voicemail message threatening me, threatening my children, threatening my wife. I will not be intimidated by anybody who thinks what I'm doing is wrong. I will not stop what I'm doing, no matter who wants to call me and threaten me. They want to threaten my family, threaten my kids. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. The other day I saw George Gascon had a rally. And I saw all these individuals with these cute little banners, all exactly the same. And I noticed that on the internet, he had a PAC, a political action committee. And so I went to that website, and I saw that there was a Facebook hyperlink, and I pressed on that. And you know what came up? George Gascon, his own Facebook. I went on Twitter, and there was a hyperlink on that PAC. And I pressed on that. You know what came up? George Gascon's Twitter. Who out here is being paid to come out here and support the victims and survivors? Nobody. Did you see all those people, those 50 or so people at the Hall of Justice, all having the same banners, all paid for? Who do you think paid for all that? Gascon. Right. The elected DA. The elected DA needs to have a rally. The elected DA, the one who can't come outside and talk to victims and talk to victims' family members, the one who went to Pomona and called the mother of a victim uneducated and told her to shut up. In Whittier, we don't need to pay individuals to come out here and talk about victims and survivors and support what's going on. We need people with heart. People who care. People who care about all the victims and family members behind me and all the community members. That's what we need. Not paid individuals. George Gascon is running around saying people in police unions shouldn't support individuals who want to run for DA. Well, tell me, what about those unions that were at his rally supporting him, giving him money? Isn't that being a hypocrite? So, I want George Gascon to know, and I hope all of you report this, that I like him to come here to Whittier, and I'll challenge him to a debate here anytime. Anytime. He claims that data and science back him. He claims that he's an expert in this. Come on down here. Let's go. Anytime. So I'm going to ask him when he comes here, you know, like in NASCAR where you wear those jackets, and with those jackets you have all the sponsors on them. I'm going to say, when you come here, George Gascon, I want you to wear a jacket, and I want you to have everybody who's paid you, all your sponsors, on that jacket, so we can all see. Because when George Gascon says that I want to see who's behind the recall, well, George Gascon, I want to see who's behind you. I want to see who's paid for you. I want all your sponsors to be on there. Because you know, everybody, no one's going to be from this state. Everybody who's giving him money, it's not even going to be from this state. It's all these individuals who have given him money that don't have any stake in what happens here in our community. They don't have any stake in if there's crime and if somebody's victimized, because they're not here. So if he thinks police unions shouldn't give the DA money, well, I think people who don't live in this state shouldn't give any money. So when I went to San Dimas to talk to the city council, I told them a few things. And I want all of you to know these things, because these are questions that we get asked a lot. And I want to give you some ammo, and I want to give you some information to use when people come up and talk to you. So numerous individuals do say to me, like, John, so many people voted for Gascon. Shouldn't we give him a chance? No. Shouldn't we give him a chance? He's been in office 7 months. Shouldn't we give him a chance? No. You know what the answer needs to be? I am not willing to give George Gascon a chance with the safety of my children or your children. When you become the DA, you need to be ready day one to do your job. This isn't practice. Day one, you need to be ready. Being the DA is a serious job. So what about if George Gascon releases somebody? Or George Gascon gives somebody zero bail and that person gets out and kills a child, or kills a vulnerable person? Or are we going to say, oh well, my bad, I guess we'll vote him out in 2024? No. The safety of our children is too important. And I am raising my children in this community. That's the answer to that question. So then I get another question. Well, when George Gascon ran, he told everybody what he was going to do. Everybody knew what he was going to do. So I say this. On December 7th, 2020, he put out a whole list of directives, all written out, about what he was going to do. Did he put those directives on his website when he ran so everybody could see exactly what he was going to do? No. That's it. He never did that. Because if he would have done that, the majority of us would have said, hell no, we're not voting for that guy. Did he ever say that he was not going to charge special circumstances and life without the possibility of parole in any case? He never said that, ever. Did he ever say, ever, that he was going to disallow prosecutors to go to parole hearings, ever? No. He never said that. Do you know in his directive it also says, when you're up for parole, what happens is they give you this risk assessment. It's a written out assessment that says if you're okay to get released. If you do get released, is this person going to commit more crime? In his directive it says, even if the risk assessment is high and says that that person who gets released is going to commit more crime, we're still not allowed to go there and fight to keep that person from getting released. Can you believe that? That's right in his directive. Right in his directive. In those special directives, did he ever say that he wasn't going to charge between 10 and 15 misdemeanors ever? No. He never said that. He never said criminal threats, resisting arrest, disturbing the peace, solicitation for prostitution, driving on a suspended license, a whole litany of misdemeanors that he just doesn't charge. Over 500 rejects in Santa Clarita, over 100 rejects in San Dimas, over 1,000 rejects in Pomona, over 200 rejects in Whittier. And none of those individuals got diversion. I saw an LA Times article the other day where it said, oh, you know, George Gascon on low-level misdemeanors, he's given diversion. That is a lie. To give somebody diversion, the first thing you need to do is charge them. And then you offer them diversion. And you hope that they get better and they come back into society and they're productive. You want that. And then you dismiss the case. But if you're on diversion and you fail and you commit more crime, then what happens is you go to jail. That's the incentive. If you don't charge somebody, you can't even do that. That just doesn't happen. So when the LA Times puts an article out like that, it's really disappointing because it's just not true. It's so not true that the LA city attorney even said in that article he's against George Gascon's policies. He said it right in that article. And so when individuals say to you that George Gascon told everybody what he was going to do, no, he didn't. He did not do that. When George Gascon says his policies are based upon data and science, you know what you say to them? Every one of his studies, every one, is not peer-reviewed. And what that means is, when you're in a college or a university and you write articles, they get reviewed by your peers. That never happens in his studies. Also, his studies aren't published in any type of journal. They're not even published. And lastly, do you know who backs his studies? George Soros. George Soros supported him. So those studies, that data and science is biased. It's not good. And then lastly, people say to me, you know, why? Why is George Gascon doing this? Why do you think he's doing this? I get that a lot. You know, I get that on TV shows all the time. Why do you think he's doing this? Well, one thing I can say to you is George Soros paid him a lot of money. And now he owes George Soros. And he's going to have to do what George Soros wants him to do. And George Soros wants to blow up what we have, turn this place into chaos, and change it into something else. Change it into something else. And I'm just unwilling to allow that to happen, because that is dangerous. The other thing is George Gascon just doesn't care. He believes that victims are dead and gone, so they don't matter. The family members, well, they'll just receive trauma-informed care and they'll be okay, and they'll just go away. I care more, George Gascon says, I care more about murderers and rapists and child molesters and how they feel. He just doesn't care. He doesn't care about all of us. And that's a fact. It is a fact. So that's why I say I challenge George Gascon to a debate anytime here in Whittier. Come on out here in front of all of us. Every time when he goes to the city council, do you know in San Dimas invited me, San Dimas invited the sheriff's department, and San Dimas invited George Gascon. They were fair. They wanted all of us to come. Come, stand in front of the city council, talk about the policies, do it on camera in front of everybody so everybody can see that. So I went. The sheriff's department sent their undersheriff. And then 2 hours before that meeting, you know what? George Gascon called and said he's not coming. And then he said his partner in crime, Tiffany Black, no, she's not coming either. And you know why? Because they're running scared. They are running scared. That's why they're doing their rally the other day. That's why they didn't show up. Because they're running scared. I'm telling all of you, you are in the right. You are fighting for what's right. You are just. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't. You are just. You are doing the right thing. You are. And look around. This is such a diverse group. Los Angeles is such a diverse place. Don't let people tell you. Don't let them divide you. Don't let them say we're divisive. We are not. There is so many different cultures and backgrounds and races here. This is not political. Public safety is not just a Democratic value. It's not just a Republican value. It's not just an independent value. It's a value all of us hold. It's a human rights value that all of us believe in. Do not let them be divisive and try to separate you. I stand with all of the family members behind me. I stand with all of the victims. And I do stand with you, Whittier. I'm going to let you know I am Whittier. Thank you so much.
There are some things that are just simple. Do something bad, it should be addressed. If you can reconcile and be good, then that's fine. That's fantastic. Some things are just simple. It's kind of the stuff we teach our kids. Right now we're going to hear from some community members. Jonathan said he is Whittier. This is your neighborhood. This is your community. These are your neighbors. All sorts of sizes and colors and different ideas about a bunch of different things except for this. That justice is important, peaceful neighborhoods are good, and our police and our district attorneys are supposed to support us in that. And we're not asking for the other side, for the suspects, for the arrestees. We're not asking for them to be dumped somewhere. They have attorneys. There's a system for them. Both sides need to be represented. There's an imbalance right now. And it affects your home, it affects your street, your neighborhood. And so we're going to hear from some of our neighbors. Fernando Lopez is a local businessman. Come on up. He has a thing or two to say because he's done some things. A veteran, a good guy, and just someone who likes to speak out when things need to be put right.
Thanks, Dr. David. I want to make a public service announcement. This is not an anti-Democrat, super right-wing campaign. This is nonpartisan. This is a public safety issue.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'm a business owner, and so there's a lot of things I could say about what's going on in the community, but I'm going to speak really just from the business perspective. So, I've been in business for about a decade now, and we have business in downtown LA, in Torrance, in Downey. I'm going to talk about a real life scenario that happened earlier this year. A person comes off the street, walks into one of our locations, goes up to the cash register, and steals money out of the tip jar. One of the employees there at the time, she's taken back. She's 23 years old. She's doing her job like any other day. And this person comes in, looks at the cash register, and then just takes the money, puts it in his pocket, and starts to walk out. This employee of mine, she's been with me for a couple years, and she says, I'm going to call the police. And you know what this guy did, this criminal? He just laughed. He laughed, he said, what? For a few dollars? This is a real life scenario. And yes, we call the police. It's called petty theft. Up to $950, someone can come in, steal from our businesses, from our neighborhoods, and play the system knowing it's out in an hour, goes back to the same location. It's tough as a business owner here in Los Angeles County. It's really tough. And George Gascon isn't making it any easier. I can tell you right now. It's really difficult to have employees to feel safe, to feel comfortable, to have some security when the economy is as difficult as it is. This is not helping, just from a business perspective. I'm going to talk about another business right down the street. It's a big grocery store. And when I go there and I get my supplies in the morning, I see this person come in and she goes in and takes a bottle of alcohol. Between 6 and 6:30, you can see it like clockwork. She comes in and takes the bottle and just walks out. I go in there week after week after week, month after month. I talk to one of the managers, and I said, so, what's going on here? He knows I'm a business owner. He sees me with my uniform, because I work for a living. And he says, you know what, Fernando? we call the police, they know where they're at. And you know what happens when we call the police and they book them? They're out within a couple hours, and then they come back angry and belligerent, causing us more problems. This is really happening right now. If you don't believe me, I will show you. We can walk over. This is nothing new. This catch and release reform, progressive justice is not good for our businesses. It's not good for our communities. It's enabling criminals. Go back to my scenario. This is what DA Gascon's doing. Same criminal comes in, takes the money from the cash, the tip jar, and this time he puts a weapon on the table, puts a gun. Did you know that DA Gascon is, in virtually all cases, trying to remove weapons in prosecution? It's true. Same scenario. Now this guy comes in with a gang, selling drugs, just intimidates everyone. They just take over the territory. Did you know that DA Gascon is refusing to push these gang enhancements? He's decriminalizing the system. This isn't helping out our community. This isn't helping our businesses. This is happening right now. Public service announcement, this is a public safety issue that's affecting our community, our employees, our employers, and the future generation. Fernando Dutra, he said it well. This relaxation of the laws when things are more chaotic is not helping. It's enabling, it's dangerous, and it's setting up our future for failure. Look at San Francisco. Justice Martinez said it. This is a pattern. Gascon is nothing new. We see this happening in other communities. Fortunately, here, Whittier Together, we're a community of people who stand up. There's a reason why I grew up in this neighborhood, that I choose to do business in this neighborhood, that I'm very invested in this community, and I'm stepping out here and putting my name on the line when just 12 months ago, if you were a business owner that spoke up against the media, you were shamed and you were attacked. And a lot of those businesses didn't recover. That makes me really sad. Because I take the risk like a lot of these other people, not nearly as much as Jonathan and Tommy. That guy's got some guts. He's got some guts, dude. I want to say I'm here to support the police officers, I'm here to support the community, and if you know any other business owners who are struggling with the same thing, I'm here to help them, just like everyone else here. Thank you.
It's about victims. It's about your communities. The thing I like about Whittier is, for the most part, when you talk to someone and you realize, oh, you're from Whittier, they are literally from Whittier. They were born here, or they moved in when they're very young, and they worked at the local places, they went to the local schools, they know their family to the east, the city there, their family to the west. It's important. It's important. There is no substitution for that. There's no substitution for that. Octavio Cesar Martinez has lived in this community for more than 30 years. I don't know, I wasn't born. But Octavio, I think you have something to say.
So I've been in this city for about 35 years. Raised my family here. Got grandkids now. And over the years, I've got to know people for work that I did in the uptown area, parts of Whittier. Began to see the quality of life slip here, slip a little bit there. You know, LA's turned into a dump. Who goes there now? You know?
Nobody.
Correct. Nobody should, unless you're a criminal.
Yeah.
But you know what the problem is that a lot of that is now bleeding back up into Whittier. Have you noticed that it seems to be a lot of different faces that are not new neighbors, but perhaps new predators? And safety is a concern for all of us. As Fernando and others have said, this is not a partisan issue, because crime doesn't care whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, or a non-declared. As Jonathan Atami says, he cares about his kids. You can feel that in his passion, in his voice. But you can also feel the passion that he has for caring about our families. And right now, we don't have a district attorney who gives a crap about your families, your safety, your business, anything. And this is why I support this movement. I'm grateful that you're here. Let's get rid of George Gascon.
Yeah!
We appreciate your time. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did was to have a number of people who are victims because of other people's evil. And now they're suffering through silly, terrible potentialities because of Gascon. So I know Imelda is here. Imelda, can you come up? Come on up. Don, come on up. Stepfather's our own police officer. Where's Araceli? Did she leave?
No.
She's not?
Where's Araceli?
Araceli, there she is. She's driving. Araceli, you live where?
Bakersfield, California.
Bakersfield. She's driving on a regular schedule to Los Angeles County to help us. Take a form home and just drive in your neighborhood. Let's get these signatures. And Desiree's here. Come on over. Come on over. Oh.
I'm not a public speaker. I'm just kind of thrown into this. Hello, my name is Don Clark. Officer Keith Boyer was my son. And I am speaking for him and other family victims. I am supporting the recall of George Gascon because of my concern over rise in crime and public safety. Crime is on the rise and no one is being held accountable for their actions. Criminals are not being charged with gang enhancements. Gangs are celebrating that George Gascon is the DA because they can continue in their crimes, and if arrested, lesser penalties. Criminals are using weapons. With a gun in hand, they are not being charged with gun enhancements. Thieves are stealing from people's homes, cars, and businesses, and released the same day because of the no cash bail. Some of these thieves have been arrested and released up to 3 times in a single day. Our public safety is under attack. We have people who are not afraid to kill an armed police officer. When murderers know they will be able to kill a police officer, a mother or father whose job it is to protect and serve us, public safety is gone. As a father and a husband, you want to protect your family. I could not protect my son, Officer Keith Boyer, or my wife, his mother, from the ravages of dementia. But I can advocate criminals be punished to the fuller extent of the law and not just a slap on the wrist. George Gascon needs to leave. Thank you for listening and letting me vent.
Good evening, Whittier. My name is Desiree Andrade. I am the organizer and spokesperson for the recall campaign. I have decided to be a part of this campaign because my son, Julian Andrade, was brutally tortured and murdered back on May 2018 in Azusa, California. He was tortured and brutally beat in a room in Azusa. And when the 5 individuals thought my son was dead, they drove him up to the Azusa Canyons and dumped his body on the side of the road as he was roadkill. I spent days looking for my son. Days. And then I got the call that they had found a body in the Azusa Canyons, and they wanted to know if it was my son. The sad part is that I was unable to identify my son because his body was so badly mangled. The only way I knew that that was my son was by a tattoo he had on his hand. One of the suspects was on the run for a whole month. And then he was caught at the AMC movie theater in Montebello watching a movie. Does Gascon feel that a person like that, or any of these individuals, deserve to be out and live a life? I don't believe that. And I think by him saying that or believing that is a slap in the face to all of us victims right here. Not only me. This is disgusting with what he's doing. When Jackie Lacey was in office, all of my son's murderers, I will call them murderers, were all facing life without parole and the death penalty. As soon as George Gascon took office, he directed my prosecutors to dismiss all special circumstance charges. That was another slap in the face. What was life without parole and the death penalty now turned into 25 years and only having to do 80% of that time, giving them 20 years. My son left behind 2 beautiful children. You're going to tell me that these guys are all going to be out before the age of 40, make families of their own, reunite with their families, something that I will never have the chance to do again in my entire life. My son sits in my home in a box. That's not right. Let me give you another little example. When we used to go to court before Gascon took office, all these guys would come in with their head held low, some type of remorse, I will say. The office or any of the prosecutor came into that courtroom, they were done. Today, they don't feel like that because they have somebody on their side. This is why I decided I needed to do this. It wasn't political, as he's trying to portray this. This is far from a partisan issue. I am a registered Democrat. If that was the case, then I think I wouldn't be standing here right now fighting him, tooth and nail. And I will do that to the very end because my son does not have a voice. I am his voice, and I forever will be his voice. I hate that I am standing here today, 3 years later, having to relive every single moment, being re-victimized, my entire family having to be re-victimized. But I will tell you one thing, I wouldn't have it any other way. I am not scared of him. I will not back down at all. So I thank all of you here for being here for all of us. It means a lot. We need these signatures. We need to get him out of office. This is an important thing. Please don't fall victim to understand how important this is. You do not want to be here. This is about public safety. This is about protecting my children and all of us. We should feel safe. And we should feel that we have somebody who has our backs. And we don't right now. Again, thank you all for listening to me. And again, thank you for signing the petition and all your support. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Whittier, for coming out, all neighboring cities. Thank you so much. And thank you to the beautiful parents and mothers that are behind me. I am so proud of them. And like Desiree said, it's very hard for us to be here. But I'm here for Christian Silva, who was murdered last year, shot in the head by gang members with a 9mm. pronounced brain dead on February 22nd. My son was born in Whittier Hospital. He went to Latin Lassie. He went to St. Mary's for a little bit, and now he's resting in peace at Rose Hills. And I'm here because I support the recall to recall and replace Gascon. Right. This man is making our lives, parents of murdered children, a living hell. With me, my son, I'm still going through preliminary trials, and as of right now, his special circumstances are still on his case. There's two things that we know about my son's case. Number one, he was murdered by gang members. Gascon wants to remove that. Number two, he had a 9mm bullet in the back of his head. This we know. Gascon wants to remove that as well, because he supports criminals, not victims. When I walk into Norwalk, I feel like I'm alone. My district attorneys have no help. We no longer have any help from Gascon, from the district attorney's office. He should have ran for the head of public defender, because he is an undercover public defender. He supports criminals only, and he's making Los Angeles communities unsafe. I don't want this to happen to you. It's living a nightmare every second of our lives. But we're here because we don't want these type of tragedies to happen to your loved ones. And if Gascon continues to do these directives that some are unconstitutional, he needs to go. And in the state of California, you have the right to recall and replace whoever you voted for or whoever you voted for. So we're asking you to support the recall. We need your signatures. We need every single one of you to educate yourself on these horrible directives from Gascon and get signatures, please. Thank you.
First, I want to say thank you to the city of Whittier and Desiree for this event. I actually live in Torrance, California, and I am here. Thank you for Torrance City. They actually voted the no confidence. Thank you, Jesus, on that. We already have 22 cities already who voted against Gascon's directives. That should tell you something, what kind of DA we have. I am a mother to a murdered child. I am a mother to a victim to a murder. He's sitting right here to my right with the victims before murders, killers. He is a victim to a violent crime. He witnessed his brother get murdered by a gang member, and my other son, I have 3 sons. My other son witnessed the murder to my son by a gang member. And I got a call this year before I got on this recall by my district attorney saying they were going to drop the gang enhancements. That to me was a slap in the face, because I have to deal with the son that survived the shooting and one that witnessed a murder and one that got shot by a gang member. So you're going to tell me I'm going to be okay with when this guy comes out of jail? My son's a young man. Should my son live in fear when his murderer comes out? The guy that almost killed him? Should my son live in fear? You guys should worry about your life, because he'll be walking around with you guys. So if you don't care that Gascon is doing all these stupid ideas of progressive whatever, then that shame on you. If you don't want to vote to get rid of this guy, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm living a living nightmare of Gascon's directives. I'm not here to become a politician in the future. I have a good job. I live in a very nice neighborhood. I don't live in this happened in a nice my neighbors are doctors. So no, I do not live in the wrong city, the wrong place. I live in a very nice neighborhood in Torrance. And crime happens anywhere. And let me tell you, Gascon, I will stay on this effort to call you off your job until you are out. And let me tell you one more thing, Gascon. I do live in the city of Los Angeles, the county, not the. I live in Torrance, Gascon. And I'm not a stupid, uneducated woman. I speak 3 languages. And I do have a highly paid job. I don't know where you got your, that we're uneducated people. I'm out there gathering signatures with an engineer. An aerospace engineer. You can tell me we're stupid people trying to gather signatures?
Should I go? I don't know. Alright, so like, I don't know who's gonna go next.
You can,
Can I go?
if you want to
Let
say
me go
something.
next.
All right, last one.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm kind of nervous. I've never done this before, putting my life out there. I didn't even think I would be doing this. My granddaughter, it's been 2 months that we have no idea where my granddaughter is. I've made several reports to DCFS, Minors Council, supposed to be protecting my grandchild. The father's exposing my granddaughter to the helium tank that is used to inflate party balloons. That is why I'm out here as well, supporting Gascon Gotta Go. Why? Because her father also was a part of my daughter's rape. She was put in a room and raped by multiple men. That is why I'm out here helping everyone gather signatures to get Gascon out.
You're right, we're not stupid. We know the difference between the heinous, evil, just point blank wrong things that we have called crimes. And we insist that our systems do something about it. We're not talking about small petty things. Nobody that I've seen in our group, nobody that I've seen in this group, nobody that I've seen on the groups on TV are advocating for anything other than what is right when some of the worst human behaviors are done to other people, to children. That's what we're talking about. So don't be fooled about this idea that, well, you want to put petty people behind bars. This is not petty. This is life-changing for generations. This is evil. We expect our peace officers to fight it, and we expect our district attorney to fight it. So please, when you leave here, if you are ready to sign, you can sign there under the tarp. RecallGeorgeGascon.com. We need to push this to our neighbors. We need to tell our clergy. We need to tell our service clubs. We need to tell the people we play poker with. We've got to get this done. And hopefully, in the near future, we'll be able to be at another civic event where we're smiling and saying, look what we did, Los Angeles County. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.